Thanks for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
You have one of the coolest avatars of all time.
Thank
I think
you.
that's so awesome. Maybe you could introduce yourself, Chi, and also tell us about this avatar, because I'm just so inquisitive. I want to know. I want to know where did this amazing
Thank you.
come?
I'm Shi. My day job is an engineer manager at Meta. Outside of work, I am an investor and entrepreneur. I started collecting NFTs since early 2021 on Nifty Getaway. And I was a speaker here last year as well. I was very, very hyped about this technology and about the beautiful future picture we can create together. Okay, now about my avatar, that's actually from a Russian artist on Twitter. We did a team activity that it's a D&D kind of like secret box. Everyone will pick a character for another person, and we find the artist to get the portrait for us. So it has our character and also our face. Yeah.
I love that. And now you're with Meta. And how long have you been at Meta? Were you there when it was Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
2 years.
2 years. Well, I hope that you and all your peers from Meta really feel welcome and feel like we've made space for everyone here, right? There's enough room in this environment for all these different companies, brand new and the largest, to thrive collaboratively together. Thank you so much for being here again with us. Hrish, you know, you're the type of guy that when you talk, everybody listens. I get to see you on the news channels constantly, on the LinkedIn feed and things of that nature. So I just want to start by saying thanks for representing the decentralized world, the Web3 world. You know, I think that it's important that we have you and all the other voices that are out there kind of trying to educate people about what it is that we're doing and how we're doing. And of course, we all have a diverse approach. Certainly you do. Please introduce yourself and let everybody know a bit about Superworld before we get started.
Sure, and thanks again. It's very kind of you to say. I think that this industry is so amazing and transforming. And you know, I'm very humbled and appreciative of the opportunity to help. You know, on the thought leadership side as we kind of all build together. So thanks again for having me. My background has been a kind of a mix of a variety of things. I started off in consulting. I worked on Wall Street in investment banking. Started off in real estate investment banking of all places, and we're doing virtual real estate. So we understand that industry pretty well. Got into venture capital, investing all over the world. Started a couple of venture capital funds in New York. Used to work in New York as well in venture capital. Was early at a company called TopTal, which is a global talent marketplace backed by Andreessen Horowitz. And then about 6 years ago, I started Rogue Initiative Studios, which is a film, television, gaming, and virtual reality studio in Hollywood. My co-founder produced Call of Duty, Modern Warfare series, and Ghosts. My production partner there is Michael Bay, the action director, who does big action movies like Transformers. And so at Rogue, we did, you know, again, we do cross-platform franchises. And what happened was Pokemon Go came out about 6 years ago, showed me that you could put, you know, amazing content in real world locations and that could be compelling. And we thought, you know what if you could, you know, build a world where anyone could be empowered to build around them spatially? And then also, how do you add Web3 into that where you can own the world, right? And own all this content and become a shareholder and a stakeholder in all of this that's being created. And that was kind of the vision of Superworld, empowering people. And then ultimately, how can we improve the world at the same time? Improve the physical world together. And that was really the core mission.
Can we dive into the topic of AI and NFTs? So maybe we could define AI as we're talking about it, right? Because everybody has a little, are we talking just machine learning and it's automated technology? Are we talking about the future and the hope for, you know, sentient type AI? I know that there's some development around NFTs that are basically changing and interacting. So love to not only talk about this topic of AI and NFTs, but also define these terms a bit so that way what we're saying is tied to the way that we view that. So Chi, would you like to start?
Absolutely, that's a great question. With the AI, well, first I will start with I believe in NFT, the very beautiful future picture that underrepresented folks could actually have a voice. And individual artists could make a living on what they like, and we can all build something beautiful together. So I worked with a friend who is a composer and musician. He wrote a piece when his daughter was born, and he's actually here. I convinced him that this piece, with music, we have like those emotions and we resonate with those frequencies. And what about with AI? So with AI, I created a music visualizer, and the outcome was actually fantastic. It's amazing how AI was actually elaborating this emotion, and we loved it. And I was convincing him to actually release this on NFT. However, I had some concerns actually about NFT later on, which led us to stop on this NFT release.
Love for you to speak into this.
Yeah, to give you guys all a very kind of high level, first kind of foundational understanding of, I think, where we are in this space. I think there's, three kind of main categories of how we integrate AI with NFTs, right? So there's utilizing AI to create NFTs, right? Generative NFTs using this technology. There's AI that's integrated in technology into the NFT technology, where the NFT is actually learning from its environment, from its exposure, and getting smarter and interacting. And then there's AI that's kind of integrated into the infrastructure itself, into the marketplace, into the platform, into the world, if you will, like Superworld. And so those three categories, I think, are a good kind of framework to think about how is AI penetrating Web3 and NFTs vis-a-vis virtual worlds and platforms. Now, in addition to that, there's, computer vision, there's natural language understanding, there's speech recognition, and those are kind of the ways that AI is processing information to create either NFTs, to become a smarter NFT, or to have that contextual understanding of your environment. In Superworld, just as a real world case example, we're in a spatial environment right now. What if that spatial environment could understand what you wanted to do, what you wanted to see, and could enable you to access that information, access that content, enable you to enhance your real life. And I think that's real world utility is where AI is going to have its most important impact in the NFT space, but overall, as we think of a virtual world or the infrastructure side of that too.
So both of you are respected thought leaders in this space, and I'd love for you to share what's something that you believe strongly that you don't think there's consensus about. What do you believe about this topic that other people aren't talking about, or they may disagree with you? I'd love for you to share something that's kind of a unique perspective, and then share why you feel that way. Chi, would you like to go first, or do you want a moment?
I want to have some more thoughts about
Yeah,
it.
so why don't you take that first?
Sure. So, I think that what's really interesting here, and we've been in this space for about 5 years now. We got into the NFT space in 2018 and into the virtual world category as it relates to real world, in 2017 with spatial technologies, AR, VR, and so, I think what's happening, which I think is contrarian in terms of my view here, is, many people think that this revolution is going to be led from a gaming perspective, right? People play games. Virtual environments are, very traditionally gaming environments. And, again, I completely agree with that. And there's a huge category there. I again, come from the gaming industry as well. So wholeheartedly believe in that thesis. However, what I think is going to be the real progenitor of the mass, usage of the metaverse is when these technologies, again, impact real world utility for us, and when that technology is abstracted away, which is happening, and it's happening kind of behind the scenes very incrementally. And so I think the contrarian kind of viewpoint here is that there is going to be certain industries like gaming that are going to pull in a lot of mainstream users. But I think what's going to happen is all of us, the William Gibson phrase, the technology, the future's here, is just not evenly distributed. I think that distribution of the quote unquote metaverse is happening very slowly, and people just need to understand what they can do. In other words, what they're doing in the analog world, some people are accessing those POAPs. Some people are accessing NFTs when they go somewhere. Other people just don't have the understanding that this is a possibility yet. And so I think what's going to happen is more and more of us understand how can we benefit from virtuality. And we're doing it already with a Zoom call, or maybe, again, accessing information in a virtual digital type way. But when we start utilizing these Web3 types of mechanisms like NFTs that correspond to things we're doing in the physical, real world, so not a gaming world. You don't have to become an avatar to achieve or benefit from these technologies, but you can do it by coming here and grabbing a POAP, or going to a concert and viewing something visually before you get there because you want to experience it or you want to engage with it. I just got off a call with the CEO of Hilton Hotels, who was telling me, Hrish, you know what? You and I are in the same business. We're in the experience business, which I love that quote. And the point is that once we all recognize that we're all in a world that incorporates physicality and virtuality, and our ability to utilize and our ability to use the utility that comes from that in a real world way, just like we use Zoom now, right? That is when the metaverse is going to really accelerate and it's going to become part of our lives. So it's going to happen in a very incremental way, but ultimately the network effects of that are going to speed it up very fast, and we're going to go mainstream faster than we know in the real world.
That was really well articulated. Thank you. Would you like to share a contrarian point of view as Hrish?
I totally agree with Hrish about this. I read on Twitter that's very well said about metaverses. Means we as human beings are spending more time on the digital world, and that means actually metaverse is here. As actually Hrish talked a lot about a lot of benefits on NFT. I do want to raise some concerns. I'm deeply worried about this implementation of responsibility in this decentralized world. I'm kind of concerned about the value we're bringing into the society, like spending about 1.5 years in the NFT space right now. So I bought C01 project, which is an NFT fashion project, designed by a Warner Bros. Designer. I'm always excited about new artists from different industry coming into this field, so I want to support them. And I bought an NFT, I minted few, and they on the website, they show that, you can stake your NFT for more points and more tokens. So I did that, but the website does not respond. Usually, I would just walk away, but that time I was worried that, what about other holders? So I sent the creator some message, but no one responded. Who should I actually talk to at that time? Hello, customer service, So I came to this conference actually with some unanswered questions. Great power comes with great responsibilities as well. Do we actually need a third party here or not? Or who should that be? That's my question.
Can you dive into that a bit deeper? When you say, do we need a third party or not? Give us a little more context for what you mean by that.
We are distributing, in the distributed world, we are distributing the power as well, right? And as an individual and an artist, I had the initial launch of my project. I got like maybe quite successful with the first launch. Personally, I probably don't have that much motivation to stay on this roadmap. So how can we enforce the artists to stick with the roadmap? To actually, how can we hold them accountable for what they have promised? This is my question.
I think one thing that we need to become really comfortable with are unanswered questions.
Yeah.
I would say that as an industry, we're like in the third trimester in the womb, not yet born. It's fine. We have tens of billions of dollars in transactions. We have multi-billion-dollar companies. We have trillion-dollar market cap companies like Facebook changing their name to Meta. And so you look at all this in the media coverage, and the word of the year last year is NFT. And you can look and you become very confused and think that we're way further along than we really are. But we are not. We're still like unborn, right? We still have to be careful to make sure that there's not a stillbirth, that we actually deliver a healthy baby, that we take care of this industry as it becomes a toddler and an adolescent and a teenager and eventually a mature industry that can be regulated with responsibility, truly can be decentralized. And there should be a lot of questions that can be left unanswered and just sit in the mystery and wait for the answer to be developed by consensus with all of us. For sake of the rest of the schedule and being thoughtful of the next speaker, I'd love for the two of you to give your final word. And so, Chi, maybe you could give the final word for our fireside chat right now, and then we'll end with Hrish.
Okay, thank you. I still strongly believe in this technology and the beautiful future. I believe in the value we could bring into the society, current value, and also the future brand value. But it's also a fragile new baby that I would love everyone to actually be more responsible for the future that we are building together.
And very well said. And thanks, Shi and Ian. Totally agree with that assessment. I think that my final word is, very much along with the vision of what we're doing with Superworld, which is we're all building together, right? We've created Superworld in a way that everyone can get involved. And I think that's a real motto for the industry, right? So all of you here, if you haven't jumped in and you're dipping your toes in, do that. Take that first step. Go, again, to build something. Go and learn. I think that the way that we get this industry, again, to become a thriving baby and an adult, and a young adult and an adult and again, a society, is that we have the opportunity to build together. And that's what we're doing in Superworld. So I welcome you, if you have an interest, reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. I'm available, and there's people in this industry that are available to help you to get involved. So that's my message, is if we all build together with that same consciousness of wanting to build a better world, improve the world, improve people's lives, that's how this industry will have those values which are decentralized to get everyone to be a stakeholder, and that's the opportunity. So I'd love to talk to you, and thank you for having me here.
Well, thank you for landing the plane for us. Let's thank Hrish and Chi. Thank you so much. All right. It's so good to be in town hall with all of you. I'm going to